Men, if you're still paying for attention and mistaking it for love, you're being played. The truth about modern relationships is uglier than you think. Are you ready to hear it? Well, this video has you covered. There is a disturbing trend in today's society where young men who have never seen a functional, committed relationship look down on men who refuse to pay for a female's attention or sexual access. These misguided boys raised in single mother households have been conditioned to normalize transactional relationships because that is what they witnessed growing up. They don't understand that true masculinity is not defined by how much money a man can throw at a female, but by the standards he upholds. Many of these young boys champion females who have a history of indiscriminate relationships. Females who have hopped from bed to bed, collecting experiences and children from multiple men, yet expect to be treated as virtuous wives. These females don't seek love, they seek financial security. They chase athletes, entertainers, and wealthy men, not because they admire them, but because they see them as a walking child support check. They understand that a baby by a millionaire is more lucrative than a marriage to an average man. Why do these boys idolize these females? Because they resemble their mothers. It's sad, but it's true. The first female they ever loved was their mother. The uncomfortable truth is that many of these young men grew up watching their mothers engage in relationships that were at the core transactional. And we're going to use transactional because I want to be nice. I want to make sure this doesn't affect the monetization. Whether it was outright prostitution or dating for survival, the behavior was the same. Their mothers moved from man to man, not out of love, but for financial benefits. But these boys refuse to acknowledge this because confronting this reality would mean admitting that the female who raised them was not a model of virtue, but rather an example of a broken womanhood. So what happens? These boys grow up into men who subconsciously seek out females with the same characteristics. They romanticize dysfunction, believing that paying for a female's attention, whether through dates, rent, or extravagant gifts, is simply how things work. They don't recognize that they are repeating the cycle, investing in females who see them as a means to an end rather than a partner to build with. The real problem is accountability. These men will never heal or break the cycle until they can say out loud, my mother was not a virtuous female. My mother was in essence a prostitute. It's sad that it has to be said, but for recovery, you have to be able to admit what it was or what it is. Because you can see it in another woman, in other women, they'll call it out. Oh, she's a hoe, she's a prostitute, she's this. But they won't do the same for their mother when their mother acts just like those other ones that they are calling out. But most will never admit this. They fear that acknowledging the truth is disrespectful, not realizing that the real disrespect is refusing to learn from the mistakes of the past. Meanwhile, true men who understand their worth refuse to give their all to females with a checkered past. A man who values himself does not go 100% for a female who has shared herself with countless men and birthed children by men who never committed to her. He recognizes that commitment should be reserved for a female who values herself enough to have maintained her virtue, who did not sell her body or her womb to the highest bidder. When they talk about selling the soul, it's kind of hard for a man to sell his soul because that means you gave up your butt. But women don't understand that when they trade sex for money, they are actually selling their soul. It doesn't matter if you did it one time. You have sold your soul. You have sold your soul. If a man finds himself unable to resist the urge to have sex with these types of females, then he should treat it as a temporary transaction. I mean, if you're gonna be in that situation, instead of being a simp, be a trick. I advise you not to be in either one, but I know not every person is ready to forego sex until they meet that woman who is not transactional, put it like that way. So if you cannot wait, if you cannot hold up and that urge is too strong for you, go ahead and be a trick. Pay for the service. A trick is a lot better than being a simp, because a simp, you are not only taking care, you're not only paying for that instance, but you are paying for another man's and supporting another man's child as well, which is going to be more cost you more in the long run. So pay for the service and walk away if that's you. It is far cheaper to pay for a moment than to take on a lifelong burden of providing for a female who has been trading sex for attention or provision, along with the responsibility of raising another man's children or another man's child. What he should not do is marry her and allow himself to be locked into a lifetime of financial and emotional servitude for a female who has never valued herself enough to move differently. It's a fly right here. My cat's after it. Okay. So, however, when a man reaches a point in his life where he can resist the devil completely, then he can discipline himself and wait for a female who actually carries value. Then he should hold out for that. But I know all of us can't do that. You know, it took me a while to get to that point. But that does not mean, or nor do I mean, that all females with children should be overlooked. There's a distinction between a major distinction to be made. A virtuous female who has been divorced from her child's father but still carries herself as a lady, not a whore, is worthy of consideration for provision, protection, and profession. And then I say divorce. She doesn't have to be divorced. She could have been with this man, you know what I mean, for a while. You know what I mean? She might have had 3 children by this man. You know what I mean? But the whole thing about it was she was a lady. Because we mistakenly call females women when all females do not possess women-like characteristics. There is a distinction between a woman, lady, and a female. So it is a disrespect to call a female who is transactional a woman. It is a disrespect to a woman to call a prostitute a lady. Don't do that. Stop that. We need to stop that. Call it like it is, bro. Call it like it is. Men who see the truth understand that there is a reason why some men are willing to go 50-50 in relationships. It is a compromise. It is a way of saying, I see your past and I understand what you are and who you are, but I will not give you all of me because you have given yourself away before. Basically, in a nutshell, saying that, hey, you know, your past may be checkered, my past probably checkered as well. So we're going to go in this as a partnership. You know, we're gonna go ahead and do this. We're going to overlook each other's past, and we're going to do this together. We're going to do this 50-50. And when I say 50-50, it not necessarily always mean 50-50. So if you ever get a chance, look up Susie Orman. She's a financial advisor. She's a female. Great. And she'll tell you, you know what I mean, the right way to go. Like you'll hear a lot of black women say, white people don't do that. They are misunderstood. They're wrong. Because white people do that. But why are you concerned about what white people do anyway? But anyway, Susie Orman speaks about being financially secure and how to protect yourself. They go into a relationship or going into a marriage or whatever. They are splitting the bills. The bills might not be 50%. It might not be 50-50 because that could be unfair. So if the person that is making more actually pays more. So in a lot of relationships, what they do is combine their bills together. So let's just say he's making $4,000 a month and she's making $2,000 a month. So what they're doing is that's a combined total of $6,000. Then they divide that. They'll take that 20%. I mean that 2,000 divided and find out what percentage. So that may say that she's bringing in 30% of the income. So that means that the bills are split 70-30. It's not always 50-50. That can't be fair. If you know you can't ask somebody who's only making $1,500 and you're making $5,000 to go 50-50 with the bills. It doesn't work that. You have to find a percentage. You know, you got to get that percentage right. But anyway, a man should only go 100% for a female, a woman who has honored herself, a female who has not scattered her body, her energy, and her womb across multiple men. A female who has chosen to be disciplined, selective, and self-respecting. This is the truth that many refuse to accept. But the sooner men wake up to reality, the sooner they can reclaim their power and stop financing the same broken cycles that have kept them and their communities in dysfunction. And why I say that is because this is a repeated cycle. I'm pretty sure that many of you have already looked at the statistics and seen how the effects of single mother households have done on the black community. As far as prison, suicides, crime rate, as opposed to houses where the man raised the child, or men or female and a man or a husband and a wife raise the child together. So men, demand more. Females, be better. The future, our future, depends on it. If this message resonated with you today, I would like for you to like, share, hit that notification bell after you subscribe so that you will be alerted to for more information and transformative videos like this one. And remember, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'll see you in my next video.